Good evening and welcome to the Center for Auto Safety's 2021 Holiday Celebration and Auto Safety Awards Gala. My name is Lee Kessler and I'll be your host for today's exciting and important program. I'm speaking to you from CAS's offices in Washington, D.C., and everyone here really hopes that by this time next year we'll be able to gather in person to celebrate not only this amazing organization, but the holidays as well. Until then, we have a spectacular gala to bring you virtually, showcasing what makes the Center for Auto Safety special. Over 5 decades of independently funded leadership making all drivers, passengers, and pedestrians safer. In those 51 years, there may never have been a more important year to have the Center as every consumer's ally. Vehicle crash deaths rose to over 40,000 for the first time since 2007 and are expected to climb 18% in 2021. The time for dramatic change is upon us. The time for holding government accountable is now. And there is no organization more experienced or better equipped to take on this challenge. But vehicle safety is not about statistics. It's about people. During tonight's program, you'll meet some families who have experienced tragedy and have inspired us all by fighting for vehicle safety for everyone else's family. And against all odds, having great success in their efforts. Their stories and their strength is amazing. To get us started, we're going to hear from the legendary Joan Claybrook. Why is Joan a safety legend? When she was administrator of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, she launched the New Car Assessment Program, also known as the 5-Star Crash Rating System. She served as president of Public Citizen for 26 years and currently serves as the chair of Citizens for Reliable and Safe Highways and is a board member here at CAS. Joan will be introducing our keynote speaker for tonight's program, Jennifer Homendy, the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board.
My name is Joan Claybrook, and I have the pleasure of serving on the board of the Center for Auto Safety. I've worked on safety since 1966 when I first came to Washington and had the great luck of working for a member of Congress who read Unsafe at Any Speed and by Ralph Nader and wanted to pass legislation to regulate the auto industry. I then had the pleasure of serving as a special assistant to the first director and then as the administrator of that National Highway Traffic Safety Administration under Jimmy Carter. So I am really a safety advocate. I have the privilege today of telling you a little bit about Jennifer Homendy, who is the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board, and we are so pleased and grateful that she is. And she has been a member of the board since 2018. Before that, she had an illustrious and long history of working on Capitol Hill. She worked for the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and she focused on pipelines, railroads, and other safety issues. So she has a huge background on safety. She worked for the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, for the AFL-CIO, for the Steel Institute, and she also has a certificate so that she can ride motorcycles, and she's very athletic and really has sympathy with the people who are walking in the streets, the pedestrians, children, families. That's really very important in the field of auto safety. So we're extremely pleased that President Biden named her the chair, and she has already been outspoken on safety issues, and I know she will be from this day forward as well. So it is my extreme pleasure to introduce Jennifer Homendy.
Happy holidays, and thanks, Joan, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you for all you've done nationally and internationally. You've been a staple of transportation safety, and the initiatives you've championed or worked on have saved countless lives. This includes the development and introduction of the New Car Assessment Program in 1979. Back then, NCAP was an upstart program that helped to change the face of automotive safety. It showed the world that the United States was going to be a safety leader. Now, NCAP hasn't kept up with the times and has fallen behind its global NCAP peers. But like Joan and the Center for Auto Safety, the NTSB is committed to seeing NCAP put back on the right path. In April, we learned that NHTSA was pulling back a Federal Register notice about planned upgrades to NCAP, and we shared our disappointment with them. Our letter stated very clearly, we believe that you've collected sufficient information to make the needed revisions to the NCAP, and we urge you to move forward with the upgrade. NCAPs around the world have had ratings for collision avoidance, pedestrian safety, and bicycle safety technologies for many years, yet the U.S. NCAP still does not address the performance of these safety systems. Today, there are advertisements that make you think cars drive themselves. There are collision avoidance systems that don't have performance standards being installed on vehicles, and there are non-binding voluntary agreements on safety because the regulators haven't taken necessary action. These are the reasons that it's so important to have organizations like the Center for Auto Safety that will advocate for important vehicle and regulatory safety improvements. Safety isn't a static goal. It's dynamic and needs constant attention. The center has worked tirelessly to bring a consumer and citizen focus to some of the same issues that are being championed by the NTSB. And today, Jason Levine's leadership continues your proud half-century legacy of independent, nonprofit consumer advocacy. The NTSB knows that we need partners and stakeholders like the center to help save lives on our nation's roadways. With NHTSA estimating over 20,000 fatalities during the first 6 months of this year, we need to work together to address this growing public health crisis. Our focus on improving highway safety is evident in our current most wanted list. Of the 10 issue areas on the list, there are 5 focused on highway safety. Implement a comprehensive strategy to eliminate speeding-related crashes. We want to see variable speed limiters and intelligent speed adaptation devices in all vehicles. Prevent alcohol and other drug-impaired driving, ignition interlocks for all offenders, improving roadside detection for drug-impaired driving, and development of in-vehicle drunk driving prevention technology. Eliminate distracted driving. Manufacturers should consider the level of distraction created by infotainment systems when designing and incorporating them, and restrict access when the vehicle is in motion. Require collision avoidance and connected vehicle technologies on all vehicles. Pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorcycles should be incorporated into this technology. Protect vulnerable road users through a safe system approach. In addition to including vulnerable road users in crash avoidance, we need adaptive headlights and stability control systems for motorcycles. And along with new technology to make impacts less likely, we need better passive design, such as the shape and size of the vehicle, to make them less deadly. Working together, we can save lives. With that, I want to congratulate today's awardees. The most difficult thing that I do at the NTSB is meet with the family members of those that have been taken from us because of a crash. I meet these families on the worst day of their lives, and my heart aches for their loss. I assure them that the NTSB will learn all that we can about the crash to prevent it from happening again. Your work is saving lives. It is difficult and sometimes painful, but you're saving lives. Congratulations again, and enjoy your well-earned recognition today. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next, we're going to do something brand new. We're going to present the Callie Hauk Award to 6 incredible families who've persevered through pain to try and make sure their club never grows by another member. We named this award after Callie, a board member here at CAS, because of her amazing story and the many lives she has saved since tragedy befell her family. Here's former Senator Barbara Boxer of California to explain more.
Hi everybody, this is Barbara Boxer, and it is my honor to formally introduce Callie Hauk to you. I met Callie about 10 years ago It was in my conference room in my Senate office, and I can tell you, out of all the meetings I had, I don't remember so many, but I could never forget Callie. I heard her story. I heard her straightforward request to make sure that renting out a flawed, recalled automobile must stop. I heard about her daughters, and I really vowed to stand by her side until the law said, no, you can't do this. Well, clearly, she was tireless. She would do this for her girls, and she wouldn't let up. And therefore, I would not let up either. Now, this should have been an easy law to pass, so just, so fair, so needed. But it took years to get it done, and the reason it got done, Callie and her team. And I was grateful to be asked to help, to stand by her side, because I knew she was it. She was the driving force for change in her daughters' names. So to all of you getting this award, thank you. You have so much credibility. Your search for justice is so right. You're authentic, just like Callie is authentic. And you'll win the day. It may be difficult, but you are turning your pain into action that's going to help so many others. So thank you all for that. And Callie, thank you for being such an inspiration to so many. Callie?
Thank you, Senator Boxer. You're still my champion. Good evening, everyone. My name is Callie Hauk, and I welcome you to the Center for Auto Safety's virtual holiday celebration and Safety Awards Gala. I've been privileged to be a part of this esteemed organization, founded over 50 years ago, and now the vanguard for consumer advocacy, automotive safety, and vehicle design and manufacturing standards. My initiation into this group of committed longtime activists occurred when I was introduced to the late, great Clarence Stitlow, who ushered me through the system that would prepare me for the fight of my life, the fight to redeem the loss of my beautiful daughters who were killed by a defective and dangerous rental car that was under open recall. Along with Rosemary Shahan and Pamela Gilbert, we became a force that would take no for an answer. We were looking for a simple solution to make sure no other parent would have to stand in my shoes. We wanted a law that would put an end to this practice of cars being rented with unrepaired, dangerous recalls. After 10 years of telling my story to any policymaker who would listen, particularly my home state senator, Barbara Boxer, in the end, we prevailed. And it is now a violation of federal law, a law named after my daughters, Rachel and Jacqueline, for a rental car company to rent a vehicle with an unrepaired recall. One of the great lessons I learned was the power of a parent's voice. Tonight, we have other parent survivors who, in spite of the trauma they endured after the death or catastrophic injury to their beloved children, all have taken up this cause to prevent other parents from experiencing their pain. They have worked to convince policymakers of the need to change policies and laws to protect the public against knowable, preventable auto safety hazards. And I am not surprised to say they have each had a great success. It is hard to imagine more deserving recipients of the honor from the Center for Auto Safety. I'm proud to lend my name to this award. Now, without further ado, let the awards begin.
I'm CBS News congressional correspondent Chris Van Cleve, and it is my honor to introduce 4 families who have taken their personal tragedies and used them as a rallying cry to make cars safer. CBS News producer Megan Toohey and I started looking into vehicle seatback collapse in 2015. A 6-year investigation that became possible when Andy and Liz Warner agreed to go on national television. They were the first to speak out publicly about this hidden danger and shared their pain over losing their 17-month-old daughter, Taylor. It's a battle they've been fighting now for over a decade. Change has come slowly and only because voices like Christy and Ben Rivas have gotten louder. They battled an automaker in court, leading a Texas jury to find evidence of gross negligence. Through tears, Christy told us she just couldn't imagine what happened to their kids, Emily and Owen, happening to other families. Michelle and Jason Frazier joined the push for change after a 2016 crash gravely injured their daughter, Jay-Faye. They shared their story of survival and their dedication to finding the best in a bad situation. For Claire and Ted Schwab, it was a seatback collapse crash that injured their son, Teddy. When they realized the problem, they wanted to be part of the solution. You've all brought national attention to seatback failures. Lawmakers have now proposed legislation to change federal safety standards. As we recognize your relentless and selfless pursuit of auto safety with the hope of preventing future tragedies, I can't think of more deserving families. Change is going to happen, and it's going to be because of your efforts. Congratulations.
Our children are hurt forever, but we can't imagine this happening to any other families.
Ben and Christy Rivas were stopped in traffic on a Dallas area expressway on the way home from church in September of 2016. Their 2 kids, 3-year-old Owen and 5-year-old Emily, in the back seat in their car seats when an SUV slammed into the back of their 2002 Lexus sedan at 45 miles an hour.
It's time to step forward, step up, stand up, make a decision. This is unacceptable.
I'm here on behalf of my son Teddy, our family, and the thousands of other families that have suffered catastrophic injuries or deaths as the result of preventable seatback failures. On March 25, 2016, Teddy was nearly killed in a rear-end collision in Richland, South Carolina. The first responders believed he would die, but he survived. He was in a coma for a month, had a surgery to reconstruct his skull and face, spent another month in inpatient rehab, and spent the last 5 years in intensive physical, cognitive, educational, hyperbaric, and other therapies.
The impact of the seatback's collapse left Jaden with a traumatic brain injury. Her plight is the motivation for a bill moving through Congress, S4122, the Modernizing Seatback Safety Act.
We're having these massive advances in technology. And so Jason and I and many others are over here saying, wait a minute, if we can do that, we can certainly make these seats safer. So the idea is that, we want to help people understand you can call your senator, you can write to them and say, I am for this. This is something that needs to be fixed. It needs to be changed.
Meantime, Jaden, who has progressed to communicating with eye blinks, nods, and even laughter, will celebrate her 17th birthday next week.
We've come 1,000,000 miles. We've got 1,000,000 miles to go, and we're just excited. And now it's time to make this make sense, to make something good come out of these lemons we got dealt. And we think this is really why we were put in this place, because we can make a difference.
Tonight, new legislation aims to prevent deaths like 16-month-old Taylor Warner. She was in her car seat behind her father when their minivan was rear-ended by a car going 55 miles an hour. His seat broke and collapsed backwards, killing Taylor. We first talked to parents Andy and Liz in 2015.
She had about 6 weeks that she was toddling around, and then it was over. And it was all because of some stupid car that we thought was the safest thing we could, get for our family to protect them.
The Warners hope safer seats can be Taylor's lasting legacy.
I've always thought of this as a way to make sure that she doesn't die in vain.
I'm Ben, and this is my wife, Christy. We would like to thank Chris for highlighting this long-running, inexcusable gap in safety standards and for your sustained reporting and calls for action.
We are so pleased to be with you tonight. Our journey started 5 years ago, driving home on a Sunday afternoon. We were rear-ended while stopped in traffic on the freeway. 7 adults across 3 cars walked away without serious injuries, but in that instant, both of our children sustained severe traumatic brain injury. Just as designed, our front seats collapsed backwards on rear impact, allowing each one of us to slide out of our seatbelts and ramp into the back seat. Ben's head crushed the skull of our daughter, and mine created a depressed skull fracture on the skull of Mark Precious' son.
Through sleepless nights at the hospital over the next couple of months, we began to piece together what happened during our accident. We were shocked to learn that seatback integrity had been a concern for decades, and that despite multiple inquiries, NHTSA had refused to update their 50-year-old standard.
While many in the auto industry would like everyone to believe that accidents like ours are rare, our own experience says otherwise. Before we were even discharged from the hospital, 2 more children were admitted to the same ICU with similar injuries from rear-end accidents. One of those families, the Frasers, is also receiving this award tonight.
When we heard their stories, our frustration turned to anger because it was now impossible to pretend that our accident was an accident at all. So many lives are permanently altered because of decades of inaction by the auto industry and their regulators. We feel so fortunate to be connected with Jason Levine and appreciate this opportunity to express our gratitude to the Center for Auto Safety and its tireless work to save lives and protect consumers. They are the only independent consumer organization in the United States with the bandwidth to consistently influence auto-related policy at the federal level. Families like ours caring for injured children don't have the time or energy, much less the network needed to make a lasting impact on automobile safety.
We would also like to thank the other recipients, the Warners, the Frasers, the Schwabs. You have all inspired us to keep fighting over the last few years, and we are honored to work beside you. United in tragedy, but hopefully ensuring that other families will not suffer a similar fate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ted Schwab. My son Teddy was nearly killed in a rear-end collision in 2016. Parts of his skull and face were crushed. He suffered a traumatic brain injury, was in a coma for a month, inpatient rehab for a month, and has been doing intensive physical, cognitive, educational, hyperbaric, and other therapies since in an attempt to overcome his injuries. While Teddy has fought for his life, our family has been turned upside down by crushing financial losses and unending litigation, which has re-traumatized us in every proceeding. We're the lucky ones. We are honored and humbled to be mentioned in the same event as the Houks, the Warners, the Frasers, the Reeveses, and countless other families who have suffered so much. They are our heroes. We join them in turning our personal tragedy into the relentless pursuit for change that we hope will prevent countless and senseless suffering in the future. On behalf of Teddy, my wife Claire, and our daughters Taylor and May, I want to thank them from the bottom of our hearts for showing us that our suffering and theirs need not be in vain. We also want to thank Callie Hauk for showing us how to advocate for change, the Center for Auto Safety for its decades of work compiling the information which proved that faulty seatbacks have resulted in countless deaths and catastrophic injuries, and that change was needed. We want to thank our allies in Congress who fought on our behalf and finally compelled a review and hopefully a change in the seatback standard. We want to thank Chris Van Cleve and CBS for relentlessly bringing this issue into and keeping it in the national consciousness. Finally, we want to thank God for giving us hope in our darkest hours. May He bless us all and help us finish this fight once and for all. Thank you.
Almost 11 years ago to the day, we lost our daughter Taylor in a rear-end collision due to seatback failure. We had no idea seatback failure was even an issue until the doctors in the ER mentioned to us that we should research it. A couple years later, we started looking into it, reaching out to senators, state representatives, and plenty of auto safety places. We really had a hard time getting any response, so I started a Facebook page to get the word out. I didn't know what other avenue to take. A couple years after my Facebook page popped up, CBS reached out to us and asked if we wanted to share our story because they had been looking into seatback failure. That started the ball rolling. We were able to get ourselves out on the news, and we had an avenue to share our story, as well as a platform to allow others to reach out to us. Over the years, I had several families reach out to me through Facebook asking what they could do to help their situation as they lost a loved one or had someone with serious injuries. If it weren't for CBS, we probably would not have been able to share our story, and these other families would not have been able to join forces with us to push seatback failure into a stronger issue that Washington recognized. We really appreciate the award we're receiving, and we appreciate everything that everyone has done to get us to this point, and we just hope to see the seatbacks fixed in the future.
Hi everybody, we are Jason and Michelle Frazier from Dallas, Texas, and we were rear-ended in a car accident in November of 2016, almost 5 years ago. And we were downtown feeding the homeless, headed home to Thanksgiving meal on a bright, shiny day when we were rear-ended and our entire life turned upside down. And in that accident, our daughter died on the side of the road, but came back to life in the ambulance and or the ER. And today she's getting better every single day. We are among the very, very blessed ones that have been able to have our daughter sustain the injury and move on. The only reason that I tell you that is because we spent, and me particularly, spent quite a bit of time kind of wondering what was the reason for this. Mm-hmm. Like, life dealt us these lemons, and where's the lemonade? And now looking back and looking at what we've created and looking alongside the Center for Auto Safety, I think this is part of the reason. This is the lemonade. And so we're very, very thankful for all that Jason Levine and this group has done. And we think that perhaps this is a big part of the reason why we've been where we've been. And
we just wanted to say thank you to the Center for Auto Safety for this amazing award. It has our names on it, but we really believe it should, it's dedicated, and certainly all because of our daughter, Jaden Faith Frazier. And she really is the hero, the heroine of this story. And yes, we're so, so grateful that her name is included in the bill, and grateful that her life has, even in her short 17 years, has made such an impact. And we know that she will continue to affect people. And one day she'll be telling this story herself. So thank you so much again. We appreciate the award, and we're so honored. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The stories we just heard are both heartbreaking and inspiring. It's people like the Fraziers, Warners, Schwabs, and Revises who represent exactly the type of consumer the Center for Auto Safety has fought on behalf of for 51 years. And that's why, on behalf of all of those four families and all victims of seatback failures, we could not be more excited to say that CAS's leadership has made what was once thought impossible possible. The inclusion of a mandate in the recently passed infrastructure bill to start the decades overdue update to the seatback standard. But today's event is not just about what we've done. It's about what is still left to accomplish and making sure that CAS can stay in the fight for safety for everyone. That's why we're taking this moment to thank some of our special sponsors whose names you see on the screen before you. In each case, their contribution will help make it possible for CAS to take on car companies who do not want to recall dangerous vehicles, work on behalf of consumers who've been sold a lemon, sort through the many complaints to find the next defect, or bring CAS's unique expertise to ensuring the government writes the safety rules mandated by Congress quickly and competently. How can you help right now? It's not too late to help fund the work of CAS in 2022. In fact, now's a perfect time. Visit the web address on your screen. That's autosafety.org. And you too can help fund this vital mission. Whatever you can afford will be a big help, as CAS takes on a task so large that auto companies spend $13 billion a year on online advertising alone. What amount works for you? $5,000 funds 2 days of working on comments for vital rulemakings like performance standards to get technology into vehicles that can end impaired driving, or helps with a legal brief to take the government to court to try and stop the sale of unsafe recalled cars. $15,000 funds a week of work at the center, fighting to get advanced safety features into new vehicles and hold driverless vehicle manufacturers responsible for their machines. Go ahead and hit pause and visit autosafety.org right now and see what level of support for safety makes sense for you and your family. And then come back and hear the amazing story of our next Callie Hauk Award recipient, Alexander Brangman, who will be introduced by Josie Sternman of Spotlight on America.
Hello, everyone. My name is Josie Sternman. I'm an investigative reporter with Spotlight on America, and I'm here to introduce Alexander Brangman, one of this year's recipients of the Callie Hauk Award. Alexander has felt the unimaginable anguish that comes with losing a child. His daughter, Jewel Brangman, an aspiring model, decorated gymnast, and student, was killed in 2014 in what looked like an ordinary fender bender. But an unrepaired, defective Takata airbag under recall was inside the rental car she was driving, and it was ultimately responsible for taking her life. Now, that experience would understandably paralyze any parent, but instead, Alexander turned his pain into purpose, becoming a tireless advocate for auto safety, raising awareness about the recall that claimed his daughter's life. Right now, years after Jewel's death, millions of vehicles with flawed and potentially deadly Takata airbags still remain on the road. Earlier this year, when our team's investigation found out the government was auctioning off these cars to the public, Alexander spoke out, calling on the General Services Administration to do the right thing and ensure all recalled vehicles in the government's massive fleet are repaired. But that's just the latest step in a relentless effort to bring about change in his daughter's honor. It's taken Alexander to state houses, government agencies, Capitol Hill, and beyond, telling Jewel's story in hopes no other parent ever has to feel his pain. Alexander's work as an advocate cannot bring back the beautiful young woman he lost, but he fights on, knowing Jewel's memory will be best served trying to save the lives of others. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Alexander Brangman.
Alexander Brangman's daughter is one of them. Jewel died in 2014, and he's been advocating for safety in vehicles ever since. Alexander said, unfortunately, there will be more deaths unless the government acts faster to get these dangerous cars off the road.
The automotive industry is a huge industry. There are lobbyists and lobby groups that, because of the economic ramifications or the extra care that you might have take, are not as enthusiastic as taking part in something that is preventable and should be saving lives. Personally, I think it's an ethical and moral issue.
Josie Sternman sat down with a father whose daughter was killed by the defect.
I know wherever I go that I have your love with me. It's a never-ending gift I will forever be grateful for.
Alexander Brangman forever knows the heartbreak that comes with losing a child. He can no longer hear his daughter's voice, but he holds on to the words she wrote him in a Father's Day letter.
When I look at that, I think of the joy, and I think, that's the best thing that I've ever done.
Brangman's life was changed September 7, 2014, when his daughter Jewel, an aspiring model and gymnast, was killed in a car crash in California. The rental car she was riding in had an unrepaired recall for a faulty Takata airbag. It exploded during a fender bender, sending shards of metal spraying out.
It was astonishing how many people are unaware of this, how many people are riding in ticking time bombs.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Brangman. I'm the father of Jewel Alexandra Brangman, the 8th victim to die senselessly in the Takata airbag recall crisis in a rental car due to lack of regulatory control. I humbly accept the Callie Hauk Award in Jewel's honor. In high school, Jewel was a high-level gymnast and an academic All-American that went on to receive her master's degree in journalism and who was beginning to pursue her PhD. She was also a model and an actress who gave back in so many ways. Needless to say, due to the lack of public awareness about the dangers of the Takata airbags, I felt a civic duty to become an advocate on this issue. Along the way, I've met so many kind, hardworking people, and I would like to especially thank a few. Jason Levine for his dedication, Josie Sturman and her team, Anna Werner from CBS for her exposure and introducing me to Joan Claybrook, who gave me some sound advice on staying laser focused, the kindness and mentorship of Rosemarie Shahan, my publicist Eileen Koch for helping me get out here, also my double L's. But for you, I wouldn't be standing. My entire family for their endless love and support, as well as thousands among thousands of supporters on my social media platform. Last but not least, Callie. If anyone can understand what a loss of this magnitude feels like, it's you. Callie, you know you never can recover from losing children. You can only try to manage your life in a productive manner. This award represents that. Thank you all for this acknowledgement and achievement. May you all stay safe, healthy, and blessed.
Hello everyone, Senator Ben Ray Lujan here. It's an honor to join you this year for the virtual holiday celebration and Auto Safety Awards Gala. Tonight, I have the special privilege of introducing Ken Snyder, who is receiving the Callie Hawk Award in recognition of his relentless, selfless pursuit of auto safety to prevent tragedies and save lives. In 2017, Ken and his family were personally impacted by drunk driving when his daughter, Katie, was tragically killed by a drunk driver going over 95 miles per hour on a city street. Since the loss of Katie, Ken has turned his life to fighting for auto safety, including supporting the HALT Right Act that I introduced to prevent drunk and impaired driving and save countless lives. This legislation is only possible thanks to Ken's technical expertise and his willingness to stand up and say enough is enough, that no more lives should be taken by drunk drivers. This legislation will make a real difference in the lives of Americans across the nation, and I want to personally thank Ken for his support, advocacy, and dedication, and all he has done alongside Mothers Against Drunk Driving to put an end to drunk driving. So tonight, I extend my heartfelt congratulations to Ken on this achievement. As a survivor of a drunk driving crash myself, I'm personally thankful for everything that you are doing. Thank you, and congratulations, Ken. Enjoy the rest of the gala.
My daughter was killed by a drunk driver. This was multiple conviction drunk driver, court-ordered breathalyzer, borrowed her friend's car and killed my daughter with the friend's car. And what MAD advocates for is enough to be able to stop people from killing other people when they're driving impaired. And the federal government needs to take the responsibility of defining what that is.
Like the seatbelt mandate, some will not receive this legislation with open arms, to which this morning parent says one thing.
There is no right to drink and drive. It is against the law.
This photo says it all. A beaming Katie Snyder Evans, weeks after giving birth nearly 4 years ago, finally able to hold her premature twin daughters together for the first time. And the last time.
On her way home from the hospital one night after visiting the twins, she was hit and killed by a drunk driver.
Katie's father, Ken Snyder, is on the faculty of Utah State University and now a technology advisor for Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
I'm not an independent commentator on this topic. I am a grieving father.
His latest focus, 2 bills with bipartisan sponsors in Congress, the HALT Act in the House and the RIDE Act in the Senate, which are looking to tap into technology to prevent drunk driving.
The woman that killed my daughter was driving 95 miles an hour on a city boulevard. The veering, the side swiping, the lane changing, any one of any one of the simple technologies that are already available on cars would have shut her down, if only activated.
A possibility they don't want to see pass other families by.
I am deeply honored to receive this Callie Houck Award for auto safety. Jason, I want to extend my thank you to you and to your colleagues at the Center for Auto Safety. And Senator Lujan, thank you for your kind words. And thank you especially for your efforts in Congress to sponsor the bill in the Senate and along with your co-sponsors in the House and the Senate, that you have been a great help in moving this along. You are my hero. A little over 4 years ago, our daughter Katie was killed by a drunk driver on her way home from the hospital. This is a picture of her family taken the Christmas before she was killed. And as you can see, she had 4 sons. I think the third and the fourth son were because she really wanted a daughter, and she kept getting pregnant because she wanted to have a girl. Well, following this Christmas, she got pregnant and got lucky and got 2 girls, but unfortunately they had some serious complications and had to be removed in emergency C-section when they were 25 weeks along. This is a picture of them taken in the NICU the day they were born. And Katie lived about 45 minutes away from the hospital and commuted every day, visiting the girls and spending time with them. She was not able to hold them both at the same time until about 7 weeks after the babies were born. And this is the first time she held them. This happened to be two nights before the night she was killed. And on her way home on a Friday night after visiting the girls, this happened. There's an accident with a drunk driver, not an accident, a crash with a drunk driver who was driving southbound 95 miles an hour, lost control of the vehicle, launched into the air when she hit the median and came down on top of Katie and killing her immediately. Part 2 of my story is what I do. I am the executive director of the Shingo Institute. It's an executive education program at Utah State University. And it is based upon the teachings of Shigeo Shingo, who is a consultant hired by Toyota to help them develop the Toyota production system. It is about organization and operational excellence. And they knew about our family tragedy. And when I called them up and asked them the question, isn't there with all the technology for self-driving cars and automated vehicles that you have, isn't there a technology to prevent drunk driving? And to a person, and bless them for their honesty, they said yes. And they proceeded over the next several months to train me in ways that the existing technologies that are used on cars today could be used to prevent drunk and impaired driving. After learning enough that I felt comfortable I could defend it in front of members of Congress, I called up MAD and asked them to join me in the effort to fight for technology to prevent drunk and impaired driving. I do this because of Katie and her legacy, and I do this because I believe firmly that no family should have to go through the kind of hell that we went through after Katie was killed. Thank you once again for this great honor. Let's go on to phase 2.
Congratulations to Ken and all the Callie Houck Award recipients who were honored today. Your willingness to share your family's stories with us truly makes a difference in the lives of thousands of people you'll never even meet. Next, we're going to take a look back at what your support enabled CAS to accomplish in 2021. First, through some media clips demonstrating how in demand the center's voice is on almost every type of vehicle safety issue you can imagine, and on TVs everywhere you can think of. Just a few of the places you might have seen CAS this year were Good Morning America and NBC Nightly News, as well as on local news broadcasts from New York City, Atlanta, Arizona, and back again. Then we'll hear from Jason Levine, the center's executive director, who'll provide some context on just a few of the many victories for consumers the CAS community has earned this year.
The nonprofit Center for Auto Safety opposed GM's 4-year fight against this latest recall.
They said, we think our set of Takata airbags that use the same dangerous explosive as all the other recalled airbags, we think they're slightly different. We don't think we need to recall them.
The federal government found otherwise.
Jason Levine with the Center for Auto Safety says not making those fixes is a massive failure by the GSA.
There's a responsibility on the General Services Administration to keep that car in proper working order. That includes making sure that recall repairs are made. Again, we're talking about lives in danger.
Their lives that belong to the federal government employees who end up behind the wheel of these cars.
Maria's vehicle was not subject to a recall. Hyundai has recalled some Santa Fe and Santa Fe Sport models, but it stopped at the 2017 model year, the year before Maria's.
You're talking about almost 7 million vehicles recalled for fire risk. That's too many. Getting this information out there, even before the fix is available, at least gives you some sense to be sure to take some safety precautions. And if you're driving one of these vehicles and you start smelling smoke, for example, that's not something that's in someone else's car. That's probably in your vehicle. So make sure you pull over and get out of the vehicle.
Telling owners of 2017 to 2019 models to park outside and not to charge them unattended overnight.
You can't take a lithium-ion battery onto a plane and just stick it in your luggage and check it, right? So these things can catch on fire and they're dangerous. We're taking hundreds of them and putting them in a car.
It's a significant problem for GM.
This isn't the first time a Tesla owner has gone viral for their hands-off driving. This man spotted in 2019 sleeping behind the wheel as his Tesla sped along a Southern California freeway around 70 miles per hour. Another driver apparently dozing in autopilot on this Boston highway.
The advanced driver assist system that Tesla calls autopilot is designed to keep people within lanes, at speed, and in certain circumstances brake, but it is not designed to control the vehicle.
Now this month, the Center for Auto Safety has sent this new letter to NHTSA demanding it step in, and this letter to Nissan asking for a recall.
It almost seems as if they're just waiting for them to all just cycle out and people to send them to the junkyards, but that's not happening anytime soon.
Nissan owners in the other 49 states are out of luck.
The idea that this is a one-state problem is just belied by reality. They have the temerity to claim that it's not a safety issue. It's clearly a safety issue. Glare creates a hazardous condition when driving. They got to fix it.
Jason Levine is the executive director of the Center for Auto Safety. He says NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, has known about the dangers of seatback failures for decades. Yet over those years, safety regulations haven't changed. The Modernizing Seatback Safety Act would require updates to seat standards.
You can have a seat that is no safer than a banquet chair, a lawn chair, in terms of its strength and the protection it provides you, which is really just unconscionable at a moment when we have so much other safety technology in our cars.
The proposed bill is part of a package of auto safety legislation, which includes bills to help alert drivers about recalls, to study driver monitoring systems, and to update an early warning system to catch potentially dangerous defects in vehicles earlier.
Big picture here is that there are a lot of relatively simple, easy to access solutions for long-standing vehicle safety concerns that these bills attempt to tackle. There's a famous quote by Jacob Riis: "When nothing seems to help, I go and look at a stone cutter hammering away at his rock perhaps 100 times, without as much as a crack showing in it. Yet at the 101st blow, it will split in two, and I know it was not that blow that did it, but all that had gone before." This is a great description for how vehicle safety happens. Not all at once, not overnight, but through slow, painstaking work, like hammering away at a seemingly impossible to break rock. Yet one day, all of the advocacy and the phone calls, the white papers, the research, the litigation, the press, the meetings, and sadly, getting to know more and more victims can result in a breakthrough. With 40,000 crash deaths expected in 2021, there's never been a more important time for safety breakthroughs and the Center for Auto Safety. Last month, with the passage of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, we helped create a generational breakthrough, and it leads off the list of what your center accomplished in 2021.
A mandate for technology in new vehicles aimed at reducing the 10,000 annual deaths caused by drivers operating their vehicles while impaired, like the one that killed Ken's daughter. A requirement to begin to modernize the seatback standard, to stop the type of failures leading to the pain and suffering of the Fraser, Warners, Rivas, and Schwab families. After decades of being told it was never going to happen, this year we made history. A mandate for automatic emergency braking on all new cars and large trucks. Improved recall reporting. Mandated automatic shutoff features on new cars to prohibit carbon monoxide poisoning. Required completion of a smart headlight rule. A mandate to increase the safety of hood and bumpers to protect bikers and pedestrians. A requirement for a plan to update the out-of-date crash ratings invented by our very own Joan Claybrook and Jack Gillis. A requirement for studies and reports on rideshare recalls, updating the early warning reporting system, and evaluating crash test dummies. All of these and more are now federal law, in part or in whole because of CAS. In 2021, we testified before Congress and the Federal Trade Commission and state legislatures and filed amicus briefs with federal and state courts, all time making the case for consumer protections before corporate profits and the need for proven safety technology to get on cars now instead of waiting for some magical future where cars have no drivers and manufacturers have no liability. It's no accident the infrastructure bill doesn't contain anti-consumer language removing driverless car manufacturer liability. And just like that stonecutter, we know changes don't happen overnight, but we also know that if we keep hammering, we will still find success. More splits in the rock in 2021 included, after 3 years of calling for NHTSA to investigate Tesla's autopilot feature, this year they opened an investigation. In 2018, we called on Hyundai and Kia to recall fire-prone vehicles. Since then, more than 7 million have been recalled, and NHTSA handed them a record civil penalty totaling over $200 million. In 2018, we petitioned NHTSA to collect information on all vehicles with automated features using public roads. And this year, NHTSA ordered over 100 manufacturers using or testing automated vehicles on public roads to submit data on every single crash. And our many years of technical objections helped prevent GM, Ford, and Mazda avoid recalling an additional 10 million defective Takata airbags, like the one that killed Alexander's daughter. But wait, there's more. There was an introduction of a long overdue new child booster seat bill in Congress, and a bill in Congress that would prohibit federal government use and sale of recalled vehicles. A commitment for a whistleblower rule from NHTSA to be written in 2022, and the agency provided an award to a whistleblower for the very first time in its history. And because of our work, Maryland is expected to become the first state in the nation to ban the use of rideshare vehicles or taxis with recalls in 2022. We also upgraded our complaint system, resulting in almost triple our historical average when it comes to receiving complaints, which, if we have the resources, allows us to better identify that next big defect. And finally, for our members, we upgraded our exclusive monthly customized safety tune-up report, which allows them to receive recalls, complaints, and service bulletins on their vehicles, saving them time, money, and maybe even from a crash. Please sign up today if you haven't already for this amazing feature. After a wonderful year of accomplishments, rest assured, CAS will never stop pounding the rock for safety on behalf of all drivers, passengers, and pedestrians. Thank you so much.
As Jason spoke about, the 2021 passage of the infrastructure bill means dozens of new safety requirements are now law. 2022 will be the year that CAS puts the pressure on the Department of Transportation to start writing the rules that make those laws reality. And no one has a better track record over the last half century. Knowing that history, tonight's sponsors have already started the down payment on CAS's work in 2022. thank you once again to each and every one of them. And remember, you can renew your support for CAS if you're already a member, or join today with a tax-deductible contribution to help fund this vital work of this independent watchdog for vehicle safety. As you probably already know, what has made CAS special and able to speak truth to power for all of its 51 years is that it has never taken auto manufacturer money and never will. But that means supporting independent oversight is up to you. Can you help get a jump start on your New Year's resolution by visiting autosafety.org right now? Speaking of New Year's resolutions, in a moment you'll hear from the board members and the staff here at the center with some of their personal resolutions for 2022, as well as some of their hopes for what CAS will accomplish on behalf of auto safety in the new year. I'll get us started. Personally, my New Year's resolution is to get back out there and travel more. Of course, doing it safely. And I hope to see CAS be able to gather together in person next year to celebrate what, with your support, will be another fabulous year.
During my 40-plus years of association with the Center for Auto Safety, this year's gala provides me with a great opportunity to renew my own auto safety resolutions. As such, I resolve to continue to focus the efforts of the Consumer Federation of America on the dangerous and life-threatening results of tidal washing and the incomprehensible allowance of the sale of vehicles with known defects to the American consumer. CFA will continue to turn to Jason and Michael and the Center for leadership in overcoming these defects in the way cars are sold. As chairman of the CAS board, I couldn't be prouder of the amazing year they've had and the lives they've saved. It is indeed an honor to be associated with your tireless efforts to reduce the needless death and injury on our nation's highways. You go, Center for Auto Safety.
Hi, I'm Fred Perkins. I'm the Center's Chief Engineer. I'd like to wish everyone watching happy holidays and a prosperous new year. On a personal note, my own New Year's resolution is to ride my e-bike end-to-end along the Erie Canal Bike Trail. And my resolution for auto safety next year is to see electric vehicle battery fires get the attention they deserve, both from the Department of Transportation and the first responder community. There is no question that over the coming years there will be more and more battery electric vehicles on our roads and in our garages. Now, when the technology continues to develop and the market's starting to grow, is the time to be sure that the batteries powering our vehicles are as safe as possible, and that if there is a fire, our first responders have received the proper training and have the proper equipment to handle the situation. Thank you.
I'm Joan Claybrook. I'm a longtime safety advocate, both at the Department of Transportation, working in the Congress, and as a private citizen in an advocacy organization, Public Citizen. And I was indoctrinated by Ralph Nader and Unsafe at Any Speed, and I've never stopped pushing for safety. My New Year's resolution for this year, 2021, is the adoption of automatic emergency brakes in all vehicles, cars, large trucks, regular trucks, pickup trucks, SUVs, and so on, because it's the single most important standard that could ever be issued and adopted and put into effect. It compensates for a lot of misbehavior or unfortunate behavior on the highway, tired drivers, drunk drivers, distracted drivers that are very hard to regulate. And so why not do it with the vehicle itself? And it really works. According to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, there'd be a 56% reduction in front to rear crashes with automatic brakes. So it couldn't be more important. It will save thousands of lives. And there are systems already in the market for these automatic emergency brakes. So it's not a technology issue. It's just a matter of willingness to save people's lives. by requiring automatic emergency brakes. So let's do it. Let's have them adopted, and let's see if this resolution can't influence the Department of Transportation to issue these standards in 2022. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Don Slavic. I'm a member of the board for the Center for Auto Safety, and I'm here to wish you a very happy set of holidays, whether it's Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, or whatever. And a very happy New Year to all of you, especially this coming New Year, where we're going to be doing a lot of work with the center. My New Year's resolution this next year is to spend more time with family, especially my wife, my son and his wife, and my elderly father and elderly mother-in-law, as well as go visit the exchange students we had when my son was in high school. They're from Germany and Switzerland, and they have families, and we'd like to see them and their kids, who are essentially our exchange grandkids. My resolution for the New Year's with regards to auto safety is to assist the board in pushing forward and helping to hold Tesla and others responsible for the science experiments that they're conducting on the public. They're putting level 2, level 3 vehicles out on the road, and although they are using drivers that are untrained, they're also experimenting on the rest of us, the pedestrians and other vehicles. And they need to be held accountable for those actions. They should be doing their testing on controlled areas, such as controlled test tracks, as opposed to the general public at large, who has no say in this. Also, we need to make sure that standards are improved, especially in the area of seatback strength and in the area of automatic emergency braking and pedestrian detection, so that there are minimum standards at least for them to perform and adhere to. Hope all of you have a very happy New Year. Enjoy the celebration here, and look forward to working with everybody at the Center for the New Year. Thanks. Bye.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Ashford, and I'm a member of the board of the Center for Auto Safety. I've been for about 10 years. Almost 49 years ago, I began teaching at MIT, and I was teaching courses in technology and law, where I also conceived of and founded the Technology and Policy program in the School of Engineering. Before I go on very long, I want to be sure to wish everybody happy holidays at this time of year. Now, I was asked in my remarks to choose a New Year's resolution for 2022. And I have two actually, rather than one. One is that we'd like to see a rewrite of the fuel economy standards, of the corporate average fuel economy standards, to make them better for the environment and for fuel economy. I know that the American industry can do it. But there's a second one, and that arose out of work I had been doing on distracted driving. In the fall of this year, I'm going to be publishing a distracted driving law review article in the University of Pennsylvania Journal of Law and Public Affairs, entitled Distracted Driving, Testing the Contours of the Law and Public Policy. Of course, there I'm not focusing on driver behavior. I'm focusing on the technology that could be changed to ensure that texting and driving does not kill the large number of people, which it does today. If even one major state, perhaps with the encouragement from the state legislature, were to hold a cell phone manufacturer liable for failure to equip its phone with mandatory shut-off technology, manufacturers would also feel the need to develop and implement other and more innovative technologies. Either approach, through legislation or litigation, will require political will and a strong backing from the public. What we need is to break the logjam in the courts and to change the legislation. And it's about time.
Hi, I'm Nicole Guilfoyle, the membership manager here at the center. I'd like to wish everyone watching a happy holidays. On a personal note, my New Year's resolution for 2022 is to go to the gym more often and do more pull-ups. And my resolution for auto safety for next year is for the center to continue to be a place where consumers know that they can file a complaint about the safety of their vehicle. and that the center has the resources to sort through each and every complaint to find defect patterns, saving the lives of consumers and protecting all who use our roads.
I'm Mike Lemov, a member of the board of the Center for Auto Safety and also a member for at least a decade. Before that, I served as counsel to the United States House of Representatives Commerce Committee and its Consumer Subcommittee. Actually worked on the recall amendments of 1974, which added the requirement that manufacturers pay for recalls that the Department of Transportation orders. I want to talk to you today about a new crisis, however. Congress left out of that bill any recall authority with regard to used cars. If you're in the used car market as a consumer, you're on your own. So a consumer must use self-help to look up the vehicle information number and be able to look up open recalls. But what we need to do is to pass a new statute, a small statute, amending the Mondale, Magnuson, Moss auto safety recall mandate, which now applies only to new vehicles. So we need to make sure it applies to the used car market, which is probably 5 times as big as the new car market next year. We'll probably have 15 million new cars sold in 2022 and 60 million used cars. Many of those used cars have open defects, safety defects, ignitions, brakes, lights. There could be many of them. So what we need is a new federal statute. It's Congresswoman Schakowsky has already introduced it in the House. Senator Markey has introduced it in the Senate. And we need to close the recall gap and mandate that manufacturers pay for at least a reasonable time to have any recalls repaired, and that dealers, used car dealers, auctions, warranty that they have fixed any outstanding federal recalls. And one more thing, the federal government is one of the worst offenders in this area. The feds do not require that their own cars used by the government, by GSA, are free of defects, safety defects, before they are put on the market and sold to consumers. So I wish you all a happy new year. I hope it's even a better year in 2022. And I know with the Center for Auto Safety fighting the battles, we'll have a successful year.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Michael Brooks, the Center's Chief Operating Officer and Chief Counsel. And I'd like to wish everyone watching a joyous and safe holiday season. My 2022 New Year's resolution is to walk my dog more because she deserves it. For auto safety, I have 2 resolutions in the coming year. First, I want to see the center continue to be able to hold NHTSA and industry accountable when they fail to protect the public from unsafe vehicles. And we can get there by promoting smart enforcement and active rulemaking that makes all new cars safer. Second, no matter how much money gets spent promoting the promise of autonomous vehicles, I'd like to see proof of consistent and safe operation before these things are unleashed in our neighborhoods. Thanks, and have a good night.
Hi, I'm Jeb Butler. I'm a board member on the Center for Auto Safety, and I'm the founder of the Butler Law Firm in Atlanta, Georgia. My personal resolution for the new year is to spend more time with my children and quit working so much. My resolution for the Center for Auto Safety takes a little more time to explain, and I will do that now. I would like to see us work hard to change the law regarding automotive dealerships' responsibility to fix the recalls on their vehicles before they sell them to members of the public who don't know anything about those recalls. I'll tell you a story. We had a client come to our office not too long ago who had bought a used Ford Mustang. And she bought it from the lot, was very excited about her new car, went out for a drive with her daughter. As they approached traffic in our hometown of Atlanta, Georgia, she went to hit the brakes to slow down. The brake pedal went all the way to the floor. She couldn't stop. She rear ended the car ahead of her. She ended up breaking her knee and her ankle, and her daughter had some more minor injuries. All that could have been avoided if the dealership, the used car dealership from which she bought the car, had fixed the recall that was already in existence, had already been issued as to the Ford Mustang that she bought. She had no idea that the Ford Mustang was subject to a recall. The dealer knew about it, but the dealer didn't fix it. If you're an auto dealer, it is easy to find, it is easy to know about defects on the vehicles that you sell. They can find out about these in a number of ways. One is to just look at something they already do, and that is the Carfax report. Most dealerships now sell vehicles with if you look at the online listing for the car, you'll find a link to the Carfax report. Well, that'll tell you. If that's not good enough, the dealership can check with the website for the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, or NHTSA. And if that's not enough, they could use my favorite method, and that is to check the website for the Center for Auto Safety, which has a little set of blanks on the very first page of autosafety.org, where you can fill in the year, make, model of a vehicle and see what recalls have been issued as to that vehicle. So it's really easy for a dealership to find out if the vehicle on their lot has been subject to a recall. And then once they know about the recall, it is free for that dealership to fix the recall. Right now, the law doesn't require that they do that. But in our view, it should, and that's something I hope the Center for Auto Safety can help with. The job of fixing recalls before a vehicle is sold ought to rest with the dealer and not with the dealer's customer. I wish that the laws of this country were such that before a dealership could sell a car, new or used, they had to make sure all the safety-related recalls on that car have been performed. So that's my New Year's resolution for the Center for Auto Safety.
Hello again, Jason Levine, Executive Director here at the Center. Want to wish everyone a happy holiday season, whatever it is you may be celebrating, and particularly a happy and safe 2022. Personal resolution for me is I'm hoping to be able to finish those crossword puzzles I seem to start and never get around to completing. And a resolution for auto safety is a simple one, but we think an important one. Let's make sure electronic notification of recalls happens finally in 2022. Thanks so much for coming, and have a safe and healthy new year.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Callie Houck, a board member here at the Center for Auto Safety. As we look forward to the upcoming new year, let's reflect on resolutions and what we hope to achieve in 2022. I'm determined to fight for a federal law that will once and for all prohibit car dealers from selling, leasing, or renting used cars that have open safety recalls. It's hard to fathom that there are no federal laws that prohibit these policies and practices, which continue to put drivers and their passengers, along with the driving public, at risk of injury and death. Let's demand from our lawmakers that the profit over safety paradigm will be banished once and for all. Wishing you a happy, healthy new year.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Meyer. I'm on the board of the Center. I want to wish everyone the happiest of holidays this year and say that for my New Year's resolution, I'm hoping to spend a lot more time with my family and friends this year, next year, and for many years to come. And on the auto safety side of things, I'm hoping the government will finally clamp down on rideshare companies and taxi cab companies from using cars that are subject to outstanding safety recalls. Let's hope both of those resolutions come to fruition, and have a wonderful holiday season.
And that's our program for the evening. Thank you for tuning in to Chair Hamondi's keynote, hearing from the first ever recipients of the Callie Houck Award, reviewing all that CAS has accomplished in the last 12 months, and participating in our preview of 2022. Don't forget, there's still time to contribute to this important and irreplaceable organization at autosafety.org. Drive safe and have a happy and healthy holiday season.